Hey there. So I am just creating a problem. All right. I want to factor this, but when I'm looking at it, I'm noticing that all three of these terms only have a 1 in common. So it's not like I can pull out a GCF and then factor. Okay. So this happens when my A value is different than 1. So this is called factor by grouping. The way we do this is by taking our A value and our C value and multiplying it together. So when I multiply them together, I get a positive 5. So I want things that are going to multiply to a positive 5, okay? But then I also want them to add up to my middle term, which is a negative 6. So I want them to multiply to a positive 5 and add up to a negative 6. So the only factors of 5 are 1 and 5, or negative 1 and negative 5. So when I add 1 and 5, I get a positive 6. I know it's not that one. When I add negative 1 and negative 5, I get a negative 6. So I know that I'm going to use a negative 1 and a negative 5 in some capacity in order to break this negative 6x apart. So I'm going to put a negative 1x and a minus 5x. And I'm going to bring down my positive 1 and my 5x squared. Okay. So now I have the same thing. This is just unsimplified. So I have the same thing as I did up here, just unsimplified. And I'm going to factor now by grouping. Okay, I'm going to look at this pair of terms and think, what do they have in common? Okay, well, that pair has an x in common. And if I factor out an x, I'm left with 5x minus 1. Okay, now I'm going to focus on what these two have in common. So really, the only thing in common is a 1. But the thing is, I want something that's going to be pulled out that would leave me with a 5x minus 1. So negative 1 times 5x gets me negative 5x. And negative 1 times negative 1 gets me a positive 1. So I pulled out a negative 1 in this case. Okay. And here you see I have the factors x times 5x minus 1 minus 1 times 5x minus 1. But you'll notice that both of these are 5x minus 1. So that's actually one of my factors. And you'll notice that the outside I'm left with an x minus 1. So that's my second factor. And to check it, we would just FOIL or use anything that helped us to multiply these together, right? FOIL first is x times 5x. I get 5x squared. Outer, x times negative 1, so negative 1x. Inner, negative 1 times 5x is negative 5x. And last, negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. And when I combine these two, I get 5x squared minus 6x plus 1, which was what we originally started with, and it's always good to recheck it.